Hey guys, welcome to one of our final 2 weeks of lessons here, which is crazy to say. I can't believe I'm not going to see you guys again. I'm sure you guys are probably excited about that, but I'm bummed. We're going to keep working. We're going to try and go through annuities today. We'll talk a little bit about last time, things that we need to clear up, make sure we're getting. We'll talk about the future value of annuities and present value of annuities. Last time, you guys did a pretty good job, especially considering that I wasn't there to help you guys out. Big things that you need to remember, and it's going to be the same thing here, is when you are going through and applying the interest rate, it has to be the annual rate divided by how many times it's compounded that year. So if you have an annual interest rate of 10% and it gets compounded yearly, you just leave it at 10%. If it gets compounded monthly, that means that you have to divide that annual interest rate of 10% divided by 12 to get, I don't know, whatever that is, to make that new, like, how about this? We'll make it 12% interest divided by 12 compoundings gets you 1%. So you need to make sure when you're using the calculator that you're dividing that annual interest rate and making it for that equal to the same period. You're going to see that again today. So an annuity is an equal series of payments made in an investment. So there's really two things that you can do with an annuity. You can pay money into the annuity, and like you put $500 every month into your retirement. Or later on in life, you can purchase an annuity so that way you get $500 or $1,000 every month for the rest of your life. Um, you have to use an annuity. So like there's all these commercials like JG Wentworth, like it's my money, I need it now. Well, like, or I'm sure if you've watched garbage TV, you've seen it. What they do is some guy sits there like, so if you get hurt in an accident, the insurance company says like, fine, we'll pay you $1,000 a month for the next 20 years. Well, people want that money now because they want to buy a house or something like that. What JG Wentworth will do is they will look and see what is the value of that, and they will give you a percentage of that in a lump sum today. So they'll figure it all out, and essentially, no matter what, you get screwed. It's actually a horrible business, but it's really interesting. Um, so a future value of annuity answers the question, if I put X payments in every year at this interest rate, what am I going to have in the future? A great example of this is retirement. If I put $1,000 every year in at 6% a year, how much am I going to have when in 40 years? So the example that we have here is if we invest $100 every month for 10 years and earn 12% interest a year, how much are we going to have in 10 years? Now, this is where it gets tricky. On your guys' homework, I put both the links at the top. There's a future value of an annuity and a present value of an annuity. If you look at the website and you don't use the links I gave you, there's the future value of an annuity due and the future value, present value of an annuity due. So there's a due on the end of those. That's a different calculation. An annuity due means you get a payment now, and then it goes every like year after the beginning instead of at the end. So it's a different calculation. We're not going to worry about that. We just want to do future and present values of annuities. If you use my website that I've given you guys as your calculator, it can be really easy to mess this up big time. So the answer is your annuity, your payment is $100. You're going to get $100 every month. The present value of that, how much you have currently saved, is $0. The annual interest rate is 12%. Now, this is where it screws you up. The calculator online does not do a good job of explaining it. It says annual interest rate, and it wants you to put in 12. If you put in 12 on the calculator online, you will get something outrageous like $600,000. What you need to do is to divide that 12 by the number of compoundings a month, number of compoundings in that year. So that's 12 divided by 12. So it's every month you're going to put in, and that 12% will go for 1% a month, in short. So when you figure this out and you do this whole thing, you should end up with 23,000. So I'm going to encourage you guys to pause it here, go back a couple of seconds, look at the example and figure it out. So you'll have $100 that's going to come out to you monthly. It has a present value of 0. The annual interest rate is 12. Do not put in the annual interest rate like it says. You have to divide the annual interest rate by how often it's being compounded, which is monthly, and then how many compoundings you're going to get. So every month for 10 years is 120 compoundings. The answer should be 23,000 and change. If you do not do that and you do 12%, you end up with this huge number. If you don't want to use my calculator online, great, awesome. When I did this in college, we weren't allowed to use a calculator online at all or have any formulas or anything. We had to memorize this garbage and do it on like one of those like worthless little like 3-year-old calculators, like where it's got is plus, minus, and divided and raised to the power of. So again, if you look at this, you can see that $100 annuity times the the annual interest rate divided by how often it's compounded raised to the number of compoundings equals $23,000 as a future value. So if you save that $100 every month for 10 years at a 12% interest rate annually, at the end of 10 years, you will have $23,000, which is kind of cool. But sometimes we don't want to know what we're going to have in the future. We want to know what those future payments are worth today. And that's what's the present value of an annuity is. So let's say you're not worried about saving for retirement. You're at retirement age and you want to guarantee that you're going to get a series of payments every month to live off of for the rest of your life. What's that worth to you? So if we buy, or loans are a great example of this. If we buy a car for $25,000 and the dealer wants to finance us at 10% for 5 years, how much is our monthly payment going to be? So we know that our present value of that is $25,000. Let's see here. We know that the future value of it is going to be 0. We know what our annual interest rate is at 10%. We know the number of compoundings is 12. And because it's going to be monthly payments, we know it's going to be 60 payments. So we can figure out and we can solve for the annuity there. What is our monthly premium? Now we can also flip it. What if we don't know how much that annuity is worth? You can look at the calculators and it will solve for different variables inside of it. So let's say I knew I wanted to pay $531.18 a month, but I didn't know what the present value was. It will let you put in the amount. It'll let you put in the interest rate, the number of compoundings a month for monthly payments, and 5 years is how long you want the loan to be. It will come back and tell you that you can afford a $25,000 car. Again, this is what this looks like. Again, if you want to use this formula at the top up here, that's up to you. There's nothing wrong with this formula whatsoever. It works perfectly. The calculator just makes it a little bit easier. Again, the thing that screws people up on the calculator is that they forget to divide that annual interest rate by the number of compoundings there are a year. So you must make sure that you divide your annual interest rate divided by the number of compoundings a year, and that you are taking the number of compoundings total. So if you get it compounded every month, if you're getting a payment every month, then you need to take the number of years times the number of months that you're getting a payment, and multiply that out. Your homework is going to be, I think I have like 8-ish examples, I can't remember off the top of my head, of these things. You cannot just throw them into the top calculator every time. You're going to have to switch back and forth between a present value calculator and a future value calculator. Typically, the question gives it away. It'll even say something like, what's the future value, what's the present value? If you're trying to figure out what it's worth today, then it's going to be a present value. If you're trying to figure out what a series of payments is going to be worth in the future, that's a future value. Make sure that you're dividing that, those interest rates, those annual interest rates by the number of compoundings in a year. So if it's a quarterly, that's 4. So the annual interest rate divided by 4. Um, Put down all of your answers in a private comment again. Make sure you're turning it in. If you have any questions, guys, let me know. I'm happy to help you.